Santa Fe is the capital of the state of New Mexico. It is the fourth largest city in the state and is the seat of Santa Fe County. This area was occupied for at least several hundred years by indigenous peoples who built villages. The city of Santa Fe, founded by Spanish colonists in 1610, is known as the oldest state capital city in the United States and the oldest city in New Mexico. Santa Fe had a population of 69,204 in 2012. It is the principal city of a metropolitan statistical area which encompasses all of Santa Fe County and is part of the larger Albuquerque-Santa Fe-Las Vegas combined statistical area. The city's full name when founded was La Villa Real de la Santa Fe de San Francisco de Oasis. History: Spain and Mexico. Santa Fe settlers are churlish types who are accustomed to live apart from each other, as neither fathers nor sons associate with each other. Governor Fermín de Mendinueta, 1776. The area of Santa Fe was originally occupied by indigenous people, who had built a number of pueblo villages about 1050 to 1150. One of the earliest known settlements in what today is downtown Santa Fe came sometime after 900. A Native American group built a cluster of homes that centered around the site of today's plaza, and spread for half a mile to the south and west. The village was called Ogapage. The people settled along the Santa Fe River for its water and transportation. The river had a year-round flow until the 1700s. By the 20th century, the Santa Fe River was a seasonal waterway. As of 2007, the river was recognized as the most endangered river in the United States, according to the conservation group American Rivers. Don Juan de Onate led the first European effort to colonize the region in 1598, establishing Santa Fe de Nuevo Mexico as a province of New Spain, under Juan de Onate and his son. The capital of the province was the settlement of San Juan de los Caballeros north of Santa Fe near modern Ocoña Pueblo. New Mexico's second Spanish governor, Don Pedro de Peralta, however, founded a new city at the foot of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in 1607, which he called La Villa Real de la Santa Fe de San Francisco de Oasis, the royal town of the Holy Faith of St. Francis of Assisi. In 1610, he designated it as the capital of the province, which it has almost constantly remained, making it the oldest state capital in the United States. As a result of the Pueblo Revolt, the native Pueblo people drove the Spaniards out of the area known as New Mexico, maintaining independence from 1680 to 1692, when the territory was reconquered by Don Diego de Vargas. Santa Fe remained Spain's provincial seat until the outbreak of the Mexican War of Independence in 1810. It was considered important to fur traders based in present-day St. Louis, Missouri. When the area was still under Spanish rule, the Chouteau brothers of St. Louis gained a monopoly on the fur trade. Before the United States acquired Missouri under the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. The fur trade contributed to the wealth of St. Louis. The city's status as the capital of the Mexican territory of Santa Fe de Nuevo Mexico was formalized in the 1824 Constitution after Mexico achieved independence from Spain. United States when the Republic of Texas seceded from Mexico in 1836. It claimed Santa Fe as part of the western portion of Texas along the Rio Grande. In 1841, a small military and trading expedition set out from Austin, intending to take control of the Santa Fe Trail. Known as the Texan Santa Fe Expedition, the force was poorly prepared and was easily captured by the Mexican Army. In 1846, the United States declared war on Mexico. Brigadier General Stephen W. Kearny led the main body of his Army of the West of some 1,700 soldiers into Santa Fe to claim it and the whole New Mexico territory for the United States. By 1848, the U.S. officially gained New Mexico through the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Colonel Alexander William Doniphan, under the command of Kearny, recovered ammunition from Santa Fe labeled Spain 1776. This showed that New Mexico had received munitions and other support under Mexican rule. Some American visitors at first saw little promise in the remote town. One traveler in 1849 wrote, "I can hardly imagine how Santa Fe is supported. The country around it is barren. At the north stands a snow-capped mountain, while the valley in which the town is situated is drab and sandy. The streets are narrow. A Mexican will walk about town all day to sell a bundle of grass worth about a dime. They are the poorest-looking people I ever saw. They subsist principally on mutton, onions and red pepper." Letter from an American traveler, 1849. In 1851, Jean-Baptiste Lamy arrived. In 1853 he became Bishop of New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. During his leadership, he traveled to France, Rome, Tucson, Los Angeles, St. Louis, New Orleans, and Mexico City. He built St. Francis Cathedral and shaped Catholicism in the region until his death in 1888. As part of the New Mexico campaign of the Civil War, General Henry Sibley occupied the city, flying the Confederate flag over Santa Fe for a few days in March 1862. Sibley was forced to withdraw after Union troops destroyed his logistical trains following the Battle of Glorieta Pass. The Santa Fe National Cemetery was created by the federal government after the war in 1870 to honor the Union soldiers who died fighting there. On October 21, 1887, Anton Docker, the Padre of Isleta, went to New Mexico where he was ordained as a priest in the St. Francis Cathedral of Santa Fe by Bishop Jean-Baptiste Salpointe. After a few years serving in Santa Fe, Bernalillo and in Taos, he moved to Isleta on December 28, 1891. He wrote an ethnological article published in the Santa Fe Acute magazine in June 1913, in which he describes early 20th century life in the Pueblos. As railroads were extended into the west, Santa Fe was originally envisioned as an important stop on the Atchison, Topeka and Santa Fe Railway. But as the tracks were constructed into New Mexico, the civil engineers decided that it was more practical to go through Lamy, a town in Santa Fe County to the south of Santa Fe. A branch line was completed from Lamy to Santa Fe in 1880. The Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad extended the narrow-gauge Chile line from the nearby city of Espanola to Santa Fe in 1886. Neither were sufficient to offset the negative effects of Santa Fe having been bypassed by the main railroad route. It suffered gradual economic decline into the early 20th century. Activists created a number of resources for the arts and archaeology, notably the School of American Research, created in 1907 under the leadership of the prominent archaeologist Edgar Lee Hewitt. In the early 20th century, Santa Fe became a base for numerous writers and artists. The first airplane to fly over Santa Fe was piloted by Rose Duggan, carrying Vera von Blumenthal as passenger. Together the two women started the development of the Pueblo Indian pottery industry, helping native women to market their wares. They contributed to the founding of the annual Santa Fe Indian Market. In 1912, New Mexico was admitted as the United States of America's 47th state, with Santa Fe as its capital. 20th century 1912 plan. In 1912, when the town's population was approximately 5,000 people, the city's civic leaders designed and enacted a sophisticated city plan that incorporated elements of contemporary movements for the City Beautiful movement, city planning, and historic preservation, the latter particularly influenced by similar movements in Germany. The plan anticipated limited future growth, considered the scarcity of water, and recognized the future prospects of suburban development on the outskirts. The planners foresaw conflicts between preservationists and scientific planners, artists and tourists. After the main line of the railroad bypassed Santa Fe, it lost population. However, artists and writers, as well as retirees, were attracted to the cultural richness of the area, the beauty of the landscapes, and its dry climate. Local leaders began promoting the city as a tourist attraction. The city sponsored architectural restoration projects and erected new buildings according to traditional techniques and styles, thus creating the Santa Fe style. Edgar L. Hewitt, founder and first director of the School of American Research and the Museum of New Mexico in Santa Fe, was a leading promoter. He began the Santa Fe Fiesta in 1919 and the Southwest Indian Fair in 1922, when he tried to attract a summer program for Texas women. Many artists rebelled, saying the city should not promote artificial tourism at the expense of its artistic culture. The writers and artists formed the Old Santa Fe Association and defeated the plan. Japanese-American internment camp. During World War II, the federal government ordered a Japanese-American internment camp to be established. Beginning in June 1942, the Department of Justice arrested 826 Japanese-American men arrested after the attack on Pearl Harbor. They held them near Santa Fe, in a former civilian conservation corps site that had been acquired and expanded for the purpose. Although there was a lack of evidence and no due process, the men were held on suspicion of fifth column activity. Security at Santa Fe was similar to a military prison, with 12-foot barbed wire fences, guard towers equipped with searchlights, and guards carrying rifles, sidearms and tear gas. By September, the internees had been transferred to other facilities, 523 to War Relocation Authority concentration camps in the interior of the West, and 302 to Army internment camps. The Santa Fe site was used next to hold German and Italian nationals, who were considered enemy aliens after the outbreak of war. In February 1943, these civilian detainees were transferred to SteveoJ custody. The camp was expanded at that time to take in 2,100 men segregated from the general population of Japanese-American inmates. These were mostly Nisei and Kibe, who had renounced their U.S. citizenship when asked to sign a loyalty oath that had confusing language, saying the person agreed to give up loyalty to the Japanese emperor. Men born in America who had never identified with the emperor were insulted, especially as they were being asked to enroll in the armed forces while their Japanese-born parents were interned in camps. And other troublemakers from the Tule Lake Segregation Center. In 1945, 4 internees were seriously injured when violence broke out between the internees and guards in an event known as the Santa Fe Riot. The camp remained open past the end of the war. The last detainees were released in mid-1946. The facility was closed and sold as surplus soon after. The camp was located in what is now the Casasolana neighborhood. Geography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 37.4 square miles, of which 37.3 square miles is land and 0.077 square miles is water. Santa Fe is located at 7,199 feet above sea level, making it the highest state capital in the United States. Climate. Santa Fe experiences a semi-arid climate bordering on a subtropical highland climate with continental influences, with chilly winters and hot summers. The 24-hour average temperature in the city ranges from 30.3 degrees Fahrenheit in December to 70.1 degrees Fahrenheit in July. Due to the relative aridity and elevation, average diurnal temperature variation exceeds 25 degrees Fahrenheit in every month, and 30 degrees Fahrenheit much of the year. The city usually receives 6 to 8 snowfalls a year between November and April. The heaviest rainfall occurs in July and August, with the arrival of the North American monsoon. Santa Fe style and the city different. This year we are making a studied conscious effort not to be studied or conscious. Santa Fe is now one of the most interesting art centers in the world, and you, O dude of the East, are privileged to behold the most sophisticated group in the country gambling freely. And Santa Fe, making you welcome, will enjoy itself hugely watching the dude as he gazes. Be sure as you stroll along looking for the quaint and picturesque that you are supplying your share of those very qualities to Santa Fe, the city incongruous. Be yourself, even if it includes synthetic cowboy clothes, motor goggles and a camera. 1928 Santa Fe Fiesta program. The Spanish laid out the city according to the laws of the Indies, town planning rules and ordinances which had been established in 1573 by King Philip II. The fundamental principle was that the town be laid out around a central plaza. On its north side was the palace of the governess, while on the east was the church that later became the Cathedral Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi. An important style implemented in planning the city was the radiating grid of streets centering from the central plaza. Many were narrow and included small alleyways, but each gradually merged into the more casual byways of the agricultural perimeter areas. As the city grew throughout the 19th century, the building styles evolved too, so that by statehood in 1912, the eclectic nature of the buildings caused it to look like Anywhere, USA. The city government realized that the economic decline, which had started more than 20 years before with the railway moving west and the federal government closing down Fort Marcy, might be reversed by the promotion of tourism. To achieve that goal, the city created the idea of imposing a unified building style, the Spanish Pueblo Revival look, which was based on work done restoring the palace of the governess. The sources for this style came from the many defining features of local architecture. Vigas and canales, features borrowed from many old adobe homes and churches built many years before and found in the pueblos, along with the earth-toned look of the old adobe exteriors. After 1912 this style became official. All buildings were to be built using these elements. By 1930 there was a broadening to include the territorial, a style of the pre-statehood period which included the addition of portola and white painted window and door pediments. The city had become different. However, in the rush to Pueblo Fi, Santa Fe, the city lost a great deal of its architectural history and eclecticism. Among the architects most closely associated with this new style are T. Charles Gastra and John Gormeme. By an ordinance passed in 1957, new and rebuilt buildings, especially those in designated historic districts, must exhibit a Spanish territorial or Pueblo style of architecture, with flat roofs and other features suggestive of the area's traditional adobe construction. However, many contemporary houses in the city are built from lumber, concrete blocks, and other common building materials, but with stucco surfaces reflecting the historic style. In a September 2003 report by Angelo Economics, it was determined that Santa Fe should focus their economic development efforts in the following 7 industries: arts and culture, design, hospitality, conservation technologies, software development, publishing and new media, and outdoor gear and apparel. 3 secondary targeted industries for Santa Fe to focus development in: healthcare, retiree services, and food and beverage. Angelo Economics recognized 3 economic signs that Santa Fe's economy was at risk of long-term deterioration. These signs were a lack of business diversity, which tied the city too closely to fluctuations in tourism and the government sector, the beginnings of urban sprawl, as a result of Santa Fe County growing faster than the city, meaning people will move farther outside the city to find land and lower costs for housing, and an aging population coupled with a rapidly shrinking population of individuals under 45 years old, making Santa Fe less attractive to business recruits. The 7 industries recommended by the report represent a good mix for short, mid, and long-term economic cultivation. In 2005-2006, A consultant group from Portland, Oregon, prepared a Santa Fe Downtown Vision Plan to examine the long-range needs for the downtown area, roughly bounded by the Paseo de Peralta on the north, south and east sides and by Guadalupe Street on the west. In consultation with members of community groups, who were encouraged to provide feedback, the consultants made a wide range of recommendations in the plan now published for public and city review. Government. The City of Santa Fe is a charter city. It is governed by a mayor-council system. The city is divided into 4 electoral districts, each represented by 2 councilors. Councillors are elected to staggered 4-year terms and 1 councillor from each district is elected every 2 years. The municipal judgeship is an elected position and a requirement of the holder is that they be a member of the state bar. The judge is elected to 4-year terms. The mayor is the chief executive officer of the city and is a member of the governing body. The mayor has numerous powers and duties, and while previously, the mayor could only vote when there was a tie among the city council, the city charter was amended by referendum in 2014 to allow the mayor to vote on all matters in front of the council. Starting in 2018, the position of mayor will be a full-time professional paid position within city government. Day-to-day operations of the municipality are undertaken by the city manager's office. Federal representation. The Joseph M. Montoya Federal Building and Post Office serves as an office for U.S. federal government operations. It also contains the primary United States Postal Service post office in the city. Other post offices in the Santa Fe city limits include Coronado, de Vargas Mall, and Santa Fe Place Mall. The U.S. Courthouse Building, constructed in 1889, was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1973.